In this sacred space, we believe silence can speak louder than words. Here, your heart is safe, your tears are welcome, and your prayers are never too small for God to hear. This is sacred stillness, a quiet corner for the soul that feels tired, unseen, or forgotten. A place where you can lay down your burdens, close your eyes, and simply breathe in God's presence. Tonight, we bring a prayer for the one who feels invisible in a crowd, for the heart that smiles in photos but aches in private, for the soul that longs to be known yet keeps meeting only surface-level words and passing glances. If you have ever felt surrounded and yet completely alone, this prayer is for you. Let's whisper it together and let God be the one who truly sees you. Lord, I feel alone even here. Lord, I'm here again, speaking to you from a place no one else can see. I'm in a room full of voices. I can hear them laughing. I can hear chairs scraping against the floor, the clink of glasses, the rhythm of conversations flowing from one corner to another. I can see smiles. I can see animated gestures. I can see the comfort people have with each other. And yet, somewhere inside me, there is only stillness, but not the peaceful kind. It's the kind of stillness that feels heavy, the kind of silence that hums under the noise, the kind that tells me I am not truly part of what is happening around me. My body is here, but my soul feels like it's standing behind a glass wall, looking in. Lord, I feel alone, even here, even with people brushing past me, even with someone occasionally asking, "How are you?" I feel like they're asking out of habit, not because they're ready to listen to the truth. And so I give them the safe answer. I give them the answer that keeps the moment light, that lets the conversation move on without hesitation. I'm fine. Always, I'm fine. But you know, Lord, I'm not. I wonder sometimes if I was made wrong, if something in me pushes people away without meaning to. Or maybe it's that I've learned to keep parts of myself hidden, thinking they won't understand, thinking they won't care. And maybe that's the problem. If I never let them see me, how will they ever know me? But then, how do I open up without fearing the ache of being dismissed? God, there is a strange kind of loneliness that happens in a crowd. It's different from being alone in a quiet room. When I'm physically alone, at least the silence feels honest. But when I'm surrounded by people, the emptiness inside me feels sharper because it's contrasted with all the life and energy around me. It's like everyone else is breathing in a language I don't speak. Sometimes I look around and wonder if anyone else feels the same. Are there others here tonight who feel just as unseen, just as out of place? Or am I the only one drifting in this invisible space? Lord, if I could, I would sit down with someone and tell them everything. Not the edited version, not the socially acceptable story. I would tell them how tired I am of small talk, how much I long for someone to look me in the eyes and ask me a real question, and then stay long enough to hear the real answer. But Lord, people are busy. People are distracted. And maybe they have their own loneliness to deal with. I can't fault them for not noticing mine. Still, I ache for connection. Still, I long for the kind of presence that makes me feel safe enough to be myself without performing. I keep wondering, is it me? Am I too quiet, too strange, too closed off? Or is this just part of life? That sometimes we walk through seasons where we're surrounded by faces but starved for connection. Lord, if this is such a season, please help me survive it without growing bitter. Help me not to turn my loneliness into walls so high that even you have to knock for me to hear you. Because if I'm honest, God, Sometimes, even with you, I feel far away. Not because you have moved, but because I have let the noise and the exhaustion wrap around me like fog. I talk to you, but the words feel like they dissolve before they reach heaven. I know this is not the truth. I know you hear me, but my heart doesn't always feel it. So tonight, I'm asking you for one thing. Not for the room to change, not for people to suddenly turn toward me, but for you to make your presence louder in my heart than the emptiness. Let me feel you close enough to quiet the ache. Let me sense you near enough that even if no one else notices me, I know without a doubt that you do. Lord, I am here. I am trying to be present, but I need you to be the one who anchors me in the middle of this room, in the middle of this life, so I don't drift away into the shadows. I need you to whisper my name in a way that cuts through all the background noise and reminds me that I am yours, and yours is the safest place to be seen. So while the laughter continues around me, I will close my eyes for a moment. I will breathe. I will imagine your hand on my shoulder, steady and warm. I will imagine your gaze, steady and knowing. And I will let that be enough for tonight. Because even here, even now, surrounded by voices that don't reach me, I believe you are reaching me still. The smile I wear, the ache I hide. Lord, you see it, don't you? This smile I wear, it's not a lie exactly, but it's not the whole truth either. It's the version of me that's easiest for others to accept. The curve of my lips that tells them, I'm okay, you don't have to worry about me. The kind of smile that makes conversations lighter, the air warmer, the moments smoother. But behind that smile, there's an ache that never quite leaves. It sits deep in my chest like an old bruise. Not sharp enough to make me cry out, but constant enough that I never forget it's there. It's the ache of carrying things alone. The ache of knowing that if I let the smile drop, I might have to explain a weight I can't even put into words. Sometimes I wonder what would happen if I stopped smiling for just one day. Would people notice? Would they ask? Or would they quietly look away hoping someone else will deal with it? Lord, I don't blame them. Maybe I wouldn't know what to do if someone's mask slipped in front of me either. But I wish someone cared enough to try. You know why I wear it, Lord. The smile is my shield. It keeps the awkward questions away. It tells people I'm safe to be around. I won't burden you with my pain. It keeps me in the background, unnoticed, but also unbothered. And in some strange way, that's easier. Easier than the risk of opening up and being met with blank eyes. But you, God, you see past all of it. When I'm standing in front of the mirror, rehearsing a look that says everything's fine, you are the one who knows the truth before the first muscle moves. When I'm laughing at a joke I barely hear, you hear the silence underneath my laughter. When my eyes crinkle at the edges to match my smile, you see the tiredness that sits behind them. And sometimes, Lord, I wish you didn't, because it's hard to be this exposed before you. There's no pretending here, no safe distance, no way to convince you that I'm not struggling. You know when I'm too weary to pray honestly. You know when my smile hides not just sadness, but fear. Fear that I will always feel this alone. I don't want to be defined by my ache. I don't want my identity to be the lonely one. But how do I stop being that when it feels like the ache has woven itself into who I am? When I smile, am I hiding from others or from myself? Lord, teach me how to live honestly without collapsing under the weight of my truth. Teach me how to remove the mask slowly in the presence of people who can handle the rawness without flinching. And until then, let me remember that with you, I don't have to perform. With you, I don't have to be the polished version of myself. With you, I can be the one who cries without warning, the one who doesn't have to force a grin just to make everyone else comfortable. Tonight, as I sit here with this smile still plastered on my face, I'm letting you see what's underneath. the tension in my jaw, the way my shoulders feel too heavy, the way my chest tightens when someone asks, "You've been doing well, right?" Because I want to tell them the truth, but I know they're expecting the script. And Lord, maybe it's okay that they don't know. Maybe it's okay that not everyone gets to see behind the smile. But please, let there be someone, just one person in this world, apart from you, who can hold my truth without running from it. Someone who will see my real face and not turn away. Until then, I will keep smiling when I must, but I will keep turning to you when the ache grows heavier than my lips can hide. Because even if the world doesn't see it, I know you do. And that, somehow, makes me feel a little less invisible. A room full of people, an empty soul. Lord, I am here again, in another room filled with life. The air is warm with voices, conversations overlapping like woven threads, some light and playful, some hushed and serious. The sound of cutlery clinking on plates, chairs scraping against the floor, the occasional burst of laughter that seems to ripple through the whole space. And yet, inside me, there is no ripple, only still water. Still, but not peaceful. Still in the way a stagnant pond is, unmoving, untouched, slowly growing colder. I sit among them, God. I nod at the right times. I laugh when a story calls for it. I even add my own small comments here and there, careful not to disrupt the flow. I play my part well enough that no one would suspect the truth, that while my body is here at the cable, my soul feels like it's somewhere far away, pressed against a glass wall, watching but never touching. It's a strange kind of emptiness, Lord, because I am not physically alone. There are hands reaching for bread, voices calling each other's names, faces turning toward one another with interest and familiarity. Yet, I feel as though I'm drifting in a different world altogether, one where sound is muffled and colors are muted. I think about the times in Scripture when you saw the ones nobody else noticed. The woman at the well, Zacchaeus hiding in the tree, the bleeding woman pressing through the crowd. All surrounded, yet all carrying a loneliness so heavy it could have drowned them. And you, Lord, you saw them, you stopped for them. Sometimes I wonder if tonight is one of those moments. If you are watching me from across this crowded room, waiting for me to look up and meet your gaze, because God, I am tired of watching without being seen. I see their hands touching in familiarity, their eyes lighting up at each other's stories. I hear the laughter that comes from shared memories, the kind that can't be faked. And I ache, not out of envy, but out of longing for that kind of belonging. Lord, this emptiness doesn't come from lack of company. It comes from the lack of connection, from the way words can fill the air without ever reaching my heart, from the way noise can surround me and still my soul hears only its own quiet ache. Sometimes I wonder if I've forgotten how to connect, or if the world has forgotten how to see past the surface. We trade updates like currency. I'm fine, work is busy, the kids are good, but we rarely trade pieces of ourselves. And I think maybe that's why my soul feels so starved. God, if this room is my wilderness tonight, then let your presence be the manna that keeps me alive here. Feed my soul with something deeper than polite words and practiced laughter. Give me the courage to reach for meaning in a space that feels hollow. And if this season is meant to strip me of illusions, then let it also strip me of fear. Fear of vulnerability, fear of rejection, fear that I am unworthy of being known. Replace it, Lord, with the quiet confidence that I am already fully known by you. And that is the deepest belonging I could ever have. So while the conversations swirl and the laughter rises, I will keep my eyes on you in the middle of this room. I will let my soul speak to you in ways my mouth cannot speak to them. I will sit in the stillness inside me, but I will not let it turn to despair, because you are here. Even in a room full of people, my soul can find its home in you. When no one really knows me. Lord, there's a quiet ache that runs deeper than loneliness. It's the ache of being surrounded by people who know my name, but not my story. They know my voice, but not the battles I fight in silence. They know the version of me I allow them to see, the polished, edited version, but not the me who wakes up at 3 a.m. wondering if I matter to anyone at all. Sometimes it hits me in the smallest moments, like when someone greets me warmly, but their eyes glance past me before I even finish answering. Or when I'm sharing something I care about and they nod politely, but change the subject, as if my words were only a pause in their own thoughts. And it makes me wonder, Lord, do they really see me? Or do they just see the role I play in their life? It's not that I expect everyone to carry the weight of my heart, but I long for someone who wants to know it, someone who listens not just to reply, but to understand. Someone who doesn't see my quietness as disinterest, or my smiles as proof that everything is fine. The truth, God, is that I am layered. There are pieces of me I've never shown anyone. Pieces shaped by wounds I still don't have the courage to talk about. Pieces formed by prayers I've whispered in the dark. The kind that never made it into conversation because they felt too raw, too sacred, too easily misunderstood. And I think that's what makes this ache so deep. That the parts of me that most need to be seen are the ones I'm most afraid to reveal. I fear that if I hand someone those fragile pieces, they might drop them without meaning to. Or worse, they might look at them and decide I'm too much, too complicated, too broken to love. But you, Lord, you know every piece already. You've seen the tears I never let fall in public. You've heard the questions I've been too ashamed to speak out loud. You've sat with me in the silence when I didn't have the words to pray. And yet, knowing that you know me doesn't erase the longing for human connection. I know your presence is the most faithful companionship I will ever have. But Lord, you also created us to live in community, to be known and loved by others. And when that piece feels missing, it leaves a gap I can't fill with busyness or distraction. So I find myself caught between two truths: that you are enough for my soul, and that my heart still aches for someone who understands me here on earth, someone I don't have to explain myself to, someone who sees not just the me in the room, but the me in the quiet corners of my life. God, if that kind of person exists for me, lead me to them or lead them to me. And until then, teach me how to live honestly with the ache. Teach me to let the loneliness draw me closer to you instead of deeper into myself. Teach me to rest in the fact that even if no one else knows me fully, I am still completely known by the one who made me. Because when no one else knows me, you do. And that truth has the power to hold me together until the day someone else on this earth looks into my eyes and truly sees the soul behind them. God, do you see me in the crowd? Lord, sometimes I look around at the sea of faces and wonder if you see me here. Not just the outline of my body, not just the sound of my voice blending into the noise, but me. the one beneath the practiced expressions, the one who hides the tremble in her hands by holding a coffee cup a little tighter. Do you see the way my eyes search for something, someone, to meet them with a spark of recognition? Do you notice how I linger on the edges of conversations, listening but rarely stepping in, because I don't know if there's space for me there? It's strange, Lord, how I can stand shoulder to shoulder with people and still feel like a shadow, like my presence doesn't change anything in the room, like if I slipped out quietly, no one would pause to ask where I went. But you are different. I remember the stories in your word, how you walked through crowds and yet your attention found the one who touched the hem of your garment, how you passed through busy streets but stopped beneath the tree to call Zacchaeus by name, how you noticed the widow dropping 2 small coins, a gesture the rest of the world would have overlooked. So I ask again, do you see me, Lord? Not because I doubt your power, but because sometimes my heart grows so tired that it wonders if I've blended too well into the background, if my quiet ache is too small for heaven's attention. And then I hear it in my spirit, that still, soft voice that doesn't shout over the noise, but speaks directly into the center of me. I see you. I see you when you're laughing with others, but thinking about how empty you feel inside. I see you when you choose kindness, even though no one thanks you. I see you when you wake in the night and stare into the dark, wondering if anyone cares enough to notice your absence. I see the way you keep showing up, even when it's hard, even when you feel invisible, because some part of you still hopes for connection. Lord, those words, they undo me, because if you see me here in the middle of this noisy, distracted world, then I am not lost, I am not forgotten, and my presence does matter, maybe not to everyone, but to you. Help me, God, to rest in that truth when my human heart still longs for someone to look across a room and see me the way you do. Teach me to draw my worth from your gaze before I look for it in anyone else's. And when I am tempted to believe I am invisible, remind me that the creator of the universe knows me by name and calls me his own. Yes, Lord, you see me in the crowd, and that alone is enough to keep me from fading into the shadows. The exhaustion of pretending. Lord, I am so tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep can fix, but the kind that settles into my bones. The exhaustion of wearing a mask that doesn't quite fit, day after day. Every morning, I get dressed not only in clothes, but in a version of myself I think the world will accept. I put on words that sound light and easy. I put on smiles that reach just far enough to convince people I'm fine. I put on a tone that says, I can handle it. And by the end of the day, it feels like I've been carrying an extra weight on my shoulders that no one else can see. God, you know the truth. Pretending is not living, it's performing. And performances are exhausting. I've learned to measure my words so they don't reveal too much. I've learned to nod and listen to others while keeping my own story locked away. I've learned to act like I'm strong even when I'm breaking inside, because the thought of explaining my pain feels harder than the pain itself. But here's the thing, Lord. Even though pretending keeps me safe from awkward questions or unwanted pity, it also keeps me from the kind of connection I long for. How can anyone love me if I never let them see me? How can I be truly known if I only ever show them a mask? Some days I feel like I've become so good at pretending that even I have trouble remembering what's underneath. I forget the sound of my own unfiltered voice. I forget the way it feels to be honest without bracing for rejection. And yet, here with you, I don't have to pretend. You've seen me in the mornings when my eyes are heavy with tears I never let fall in public. You've watched me stand in a crowded room, my mouth smiling, but my soul whispering, "Lord, please notice me." You've heard the prayers I don't even have words for, the sighs, the pauses, the moments when I just sit in silence because I don't know what else to say. God, I don't want to spend my life performing. I don't want to live in a constant state of editing myself for the comfort of others. I want to be real, even if being real is messy. I want to be honest, even if honesty makes me vulnerable. But honesty takes energy I sometimes don't have. Vulnerability takes courage I often lack. And so I keep slipping the mask back on, telling myself just one more day, but one more day becomes a week. A week becomes a month. And before I know it, I've spent years behind a smile that doesn't tell the whole story. Lord, I need your help. Help me find the moments and the people where I can lay down the act. Help me trust that there is safety in truth. Help me believe that the real me, the tired, imperfect, still healing me, is still worth loving. And when the pretending feels easier than the risk of being known, remind me that you never asked me to earn love by performing. You loved me before I could speak, before I could impress anyone, before I could hide behind a mask. That love is the truest thing I have. So tonight, I take off the smile in your presence. I let my shoulders drop. I let my voice shake. And I tell you the truth. Lord, I am exhausted, and I need you to be the place where I can finally rest without pretending. When words don't go deep enough. Lord, sometimes I feel like I'm drowning in shallow water. The words around me skim the surface, brushing over safe topics, the weather, the news, schedules, small updates, but never reaching the depth my soul aches for. We talk, Lord, but do we connect? We exchange sentences, but do they mean anything? I nod, I smile, I ask questions because that's what you're supposed to do. And yet, as the conversation drifts on, my heart feels untouched, unseen, still waiting for something real. I think about the moments when words do go deep. Those rare conversations where you lose track of time, where you share the things you've never said out loud before, where you feel safe enough to be completely yourself. Lord, I miss that. I crave it. It feels like breathing after holding my breath for too long. But so often it feels like people are afraid of that kind of depth. Maybe they don't have the energy. Maybe they're afraid of what they'll find if they go there. Maybe they think it's too much for casual company. And so we stay in the shallow end, floating on surface words, never risking the plunge. The thing is, God, my soul wasn't made to live on the surface. You created me for connection, for truth, for conversations that don't just pass the time but feed the heart. And when I go too long without them, I start to feel a hunger that no amount of small talk can satisfy. I wonder if this is why I feel so tired in social settings, Lord. It's not the noise or the number of people, it's the lack of depth. It's the way I leave a room feeling just as alone as when I walked in, because nothing real was exchanged. And I know I'm guilty too. Sometimes I stay shallow because it's easier, because I don't want to risk being met with silence, because I don't want to make someone uncomfortable by being honest. So I keep the safe words, and they keep theirs, and we both leave without touching each other's souls. Lord, I don't want to live that way. I want my words to matter. I want my conversations to be spaces where people feel seen, heard, and valued. I want to be brave enough to ask the deeper questions. How are you, really? What's been heavy on your heart? Where have you felt God lately? And I want to be brave enough to answer those questions honestly when they're asked of me, even if my voice shakes, even if my truth is messy, even if it means letting someone see the parts of me I usually hide. Because I know, God, that depth requires vulnerability. And vulnerability is a risk, but it's also where true connection lives. So help me, Lord. Help me find the people who aren't afraid of deep waters. Help me recognize them when they appear. And until then, be the one I dive deep with. Let my conversations with you fill the spaces that human words can't reach. Let your voice be the anchor that keeps me from drifting in a sea of shallow exchanges. Because with you, Lord, words always go deep enough.
The hunger for true connection. Lord, there's a hunger in me that no amount of busy days or polite conversations can satisfy. It's not the hunger for food or for comfort, it's the hunger to be truly known, truly understood, truly loved for who I am beneath everything I show the world. I can be in a room full of people, laughing and nodding at the right times, and still feel this ache gnawing quietly inside me. It's the kind of hunger that grows when my soul goes too long without something real to feed it. And the truth is, Lord, small talk doesn't nourish me. Polite smiles don't fill me. Shared space without shared hearts only makes me feel emptier when I leave. I want the kind of connection where silence isn't awkward, where words aren't rushed, where I can speak without editing myself and listen without pretending to be somewhere else in my mind. I want to be able to share my joys without feeling like I'm bragging, my sorrows without feeling like I'm a burden, my questions without fearing I'll be judged. You know, Lord, this hunger is more than just loneliness. It's spiritual. You created us to need each other, to carry one another's burdens, to sharpen one another, to encourage and lift each other up. And when those things are missing, it's not just my heart that aches, it's my spirit that starts to feel thin, worn down, stretched to breaking. Some days I try to tell myself that I'm fine on my own, that I don't need anyone else to understand me because you do. And while that's true, you are my deepest connection. I can't deny that you also wired my heart to crave the closeness of others. Not just proximity, but intimacy. Not just presence, but presence that sees and values me. The hunger grows, Lord, because I'm tired of performing in conversations. I'm tired of scanning a room and realizing that even though I know many faces, there's not one I could turn to and say, this is what's really going on. I'm tired of pretending that surface-level relationships are enough when my heart is starving for depth. But here's what I'm learning. Sometimes you allow this hunger to remain because it keeps me searching for the right people instead of settling for the wrong ones. It keeps me leaning on you so that I never make another human my only source of belonging. And it teaches me to value the gift of connection when it finally comes, instead of taking it for granted. So God, I bring you this hunger tonight. Don't let it turn into bitterness. Don't let it make me cynical about people or closed off to love. Let it instead be a reminder that I was made for something deeper, and that you are preparing both my heart and the hearts of others for that kind of bond. Feed me in the waiting, Lord. Fill the hollow places with your presence. And when the time is right, bring me to the ones who will not only hear my words, but hold my soul. Because I don't just want connection, Lord. I want the kind that changes me, the kind that makes me braver, the kind that reminds me I was never meant to live on crumbs when you designed me for a feast, feeling invisible in my own home. Lord, it's one thing to feel invisible in a crowd. It's another to feel invisible in my own home. These walls have heard my footsteps for years. They've seen me in the quiet of the morning, in the weariness of the night. They've witnessed my laughter, my sighs, my prayers whispered under my breath. And yet, there are days I wonder if the people who share this space with me truly see me at all. I'm here, I cook, I clean, I answer questions, I keep the routines running. I smile at the right times, join in the small exchanges that keep the day moving. But deep down, Lord, I sometimes feel more like a piece of furniture than a person. Part of the background, useful but unnoticed. It hurts most in the moments when I need someone to ask how I'm really doing, and they don't. Not because they're cruel, but because they assume I'm fine. They see me functioning and think that's the same as flourishing. They mistake my silence for peace, when sometimes it's just fatigue. And so my heart keeps growing quieter. I start sharing less because it feels like my words get lost in the noise of daily life. I start asking for less because I don't want to be another burden on top of everyone else's concerns. I start convincing myself that my needs are smaller than they are, until one day I hardly recognize the person I used to be. Lord, you know how deep this ache runs. Home is supposed to be the place where we are most ourselves, where we are loved without having to perform, where our souls can exhale. But when home feels like another stage to act upon, the exhaustion sinks even deeper. Sometimes I think about how easy it is to blend into the rhythm of a household. The clatter of dishes, the shuffle of papers, the sound of a TV in the background. All these little things can cover up the silence of connection that's missing. We're all here, but not with each other. We share a space, but not our hearts. And yet you are here too. You see me even when no one else does. You know the weight I carry when I'm too tired to ask for help. You hear the prayers I whisper in the kitchen, in the hallway, in the dark of my room. You notice the moments I swallow my words because I know they won't land where I need them to. God, I don't want resentment to take root in me. I don't want the ache of being unseen to turn into walls that shut people out completely. Teach me how to invite you into this loneliness, so that even if my home doesn't feel like a place of deep connection right now, my heart can still be a place where your presence dwells. And maybe, Lord, in your time, open the eyes of the ones I live with. Help them to see beyond what I do for them and to notice who I am. Help me, too, to see them in their hidden aches, because maybe they also feel invisible in ways they don't know how to say. Until then, be my refuge here, Lord. Even in my own home, where I sometimes feel like a ghost, let me remember that I am fully alive in your sight, and in your sight, I am never invisible.
Lord, hear the silence between my words. Sometimes my prayers aren't made of words. Sometimes they are made of pauses, of breaths I hold without meaning to, of quiet moments where my lips stay still, but my heart is crying so loudly inside. I know you hear me when I speak, but I believe you also hear me when I can't. Because there are aches too deep for language, Lord, wounds that don't translate neatly into sentences. Sometimes the only way to express them is to sit in your presence and let the silence do the talking. You know the difference between my comfortable silence and my heavy silence. You know when I'm quiet because I'm at peace, and when I'm quiet because I'm too tired to say how much it hurts. You hear the weight behind the sighs I release at the end of the day. You understand the meaning of the long stares into nothing when my mind is tangled and I can't find a place to start. Lord, there's a whole world that lives between my words. The fears I don't admit out loud, the disappointments I try to downplay, the dreams I keep hidden because I'm afraid they'll never happen. When I don't say them to anyone else, I still want you to know them. And I think maybe that's why prayer is different from any other conversation. With people, silence often feels like an ending,
like the moment where the connection fades. But with you, silence can be holy. It can be the moment where I realize I don't have to explain myself for you to understand me. Sometimes I feel like I'm failing in prayer when I can't find the right words. But maybe, Lord, you're not measuring my prayer by its poetry. You're holding it in your hands because it's honest. And honesty doesn't always sound pretty. Sometimes it just sounds like breathing, staying, waiting in the quiet with you. So tonight, I'm asking you to hear everything I'm not saying. Hear the tremble in my chest when I think about the things I've lost. Hear the questions I've stopped asking because I'm afraid of the answers. Hear the gratitude I don't always express, but that still beats quietly under the ache. Lord, meet me in the spaces between my sentences. Sit with me in the silence and remind me that you aren't impatient with my pauses. You're not waiting for me to speak eloquently. You're already here, listening to the language of my soul, even when my mouth says nothing at all. And maybe, in this holy quiet, I'll hear you too.
The ache in my spirit. Lord, the loneliness I feel isn't just in my heart, it's in my spirit. It's not only that I feel disconnected from people, it's that sometimes I feel far from you too. And that ache is heavier than any human absence could ever be. Because if I lose my connection to others, I can still survive. But if I lose my connection to you, Lord, I feel like I can't breathe. I know you haven't moved. I know you haven't turned your face away. But in seasons like this, it feels as if my prayers rise slowly, fading before they reach heaven. I open my Bible, and the words look familiar but feel distant. I sing along to worship songs, but the melodies pass through my lips without touching my soul. God, I don't want to admit it, but sometimes I wonder, has my loneliness made me numb to your presence? Have I let my hurt harden something inside me so that I can't feel you the way I used to? It scares me, this dullness, this quiet ache where once there was fire. I remember seasons when I couldn't wait to be alone with you, when your word lit something in me, when prayer felt like breathing and your nearness was more real than anything else. And now it feels like I'm knocking on a door I know is open, but I can't seem to step inside. Lord, if I've let my pain build a wall between us, I need you to break it down. If I've been so focused on being unseen by people that I've forgotten you see me completely, draw me back to that truth. Remind me that my worth doesn't come from human acknowledgement, but from being yours. This ache in my spirit is more than sadness. It's a homesickness, not for a place, but for the warmth of your presence, for the peace that comes when I'm aware you are near, for the steadying calm of knowing I'm held, no matter what storms rage inside me. So I won't hide it from you, Lord. I need you. Not just in the background of my life, not just as a concept I believe in, but as the living presence that fills the hollow spaces in me. I need you to awaken my spirit again, to bring color back to what's gone gray, to let me hear your voice in a way that cuts through the static of my thoughts. And if this season has a purpose, if you're teaching me to seek you even when I can't feel you, then give me the strength to keep showing up in the silence. Give me the faith to believe that you are closer than my emotions suggest, because no human connection can heal this ache in my spirit, Lord. Only you can.
When I can't share my real pain. Lord, there are things I carry that no one knows. Not because I want to hide them forever, but because I've learned sometimes the world doesn't know what to do with raw pain. I've tried before, Lord. I've let little pieces slip out in conversation, hoping someone might lean in and ask for more. But too often, those moments are met with quick changes of subject, polite nods, or awkward silences. It's not that people are cruel, it's just that my pain is heavier than they have space to hold. So I keep it inside. I smile, I function, I go about my day, and inside me there's a story no one hears. a story of prayers whispered through tears, a story of nights spent staring at the ceiling, too tired to cry, too restless to sleep, a story of battles fought entirely in my mind, where the only witness is you. And here's the truth, Lord. Sometimes I'm afraid of what will happen if I let someone all the way in. What if they minimize it? What if they judge me? What if they use my vulnerability as a weapon later? What if they see me differently, not as a whole person, but as my pain? So I put on the lighter version of my story. I give people the headlines without the details, the summary without the chapters. It's easier for them, but for me, it leaves the heaviest parts unspoken, and unspoken pain has a way of pressing harder on the heart. Lord, you know every detail I've kept hidden. You know the exact weight of it, the shape of it, the way it has left marks on me no one else can see. And I know you're not intimidated by it. You don't turn away, you don't try to fix it with quick answers. You simply stay. That's what I wish I could find in another human. Someone who doesn't rush to change the subject, someone who doesn't panic in the face of my truth, someone who knows that sometimes the holiest thing they can do is to just sit with me in the hurt. Until then, Lord, I will keep bringing it to you, because with you, I don't have to hide the unedited version. I can tell the whole story without fear of being dismissed. You've seen me at my most broken and still called me beloved. Help me, God, not to grow cold in my silence. Help me to believe that there will come a day when it's safe to speak these things aloud to someone who will care enough to listen. But until that day, let your presence be the safest place for my pain to live. Because even if the world never hears my real story, you already know every word. And that is enough to keep me going.
The nights I lay awake unseen. Lord, the nights are the hardest. When the house grows quiet and the world outside has gone to sleep, that's when the ache inside me grows loudest. During the day, the noise and movement keep me distracted. There are conversations to half listen to, tasks to complete, moments to fill with busyness. But at night, there is nothing left to hide behind. It's just me, my thoughts, and the darkness, and in those hours, I feel unseen in a way that's hard to explain. I lie there, staring at the ceiling, wondering if anyone in the world is thinking of me in that moment, wondering if my absence from tomorrow's plans would even be noticed, wondering if I am as invisible to people's hearts as I feel right now in this room. The clock ticks, the shadows shift, my breathing fills the air, and I realize this is the sound of being alone. Not the peaceful kind of solitude, but the restless kind. The kind that makes you reach for your phone just to feel a sense of presence, even if it's only a glowing screen in the dark. Lord, you see me here. You know the way my mind replays old conversations, looking for where I might have said the wrong thing. You know the way I rehearse words I wish I could say to someone, but never will. You know the sting I feel when I think about moments I thought I mattered, only to realize later I was on the edges all along. In these late hours, my heart often feels fragile, like the smallest touch could shatter it. I'm more honest with myself at night, maybe because the darkness feels like a safe cover for truths I can't speak in daylight. And one of those truths is this: sometimes, Lord, I am scared of how alone I feel. But here's the other truth. Even in this midnight ache, I am not truly alone. You are here in the stillness, closer than the blanket pulled around me, nearer than the air in my lungs. You are the unseen presence that watches over me when my eyes are heavy with thoughts instead of sleep. So tonight, Lord, I'm not asking you to take the night away. I'm asking you to fill it.
Fill this room with your peace until the quiet no longer feels like emptiness, but like a place where I can rest in you. Remind me that the same God who knows the stars by name knows mine too, and that your gaze never leaves me, not even in the loneliest hour. And maybe, just maybe, when sleep finally comes, it will feel less like an escape from the night and more like an act of trust, knowing that you will still be here when the morning comes.
God, remind me I'm known by you. Lord, in a world where I often feel overlooked, remind me that I am fully seen by you. When my name slips from people's memories, it never slips from yours. When my presence goes unnoticed in a room, you still mark the moment I walked in. When no one asks how I'm doing, you already know the answer before I speak. Sometimes, God, I forget this. I get so tangled in the ache of wanting human acknowledgement that I overlook the fact that the creator of the universe already knows me, completely, deeply, without error. I look for scraps of attention from people, while all along you are offering me the kind of knowing that fills every empty space inside me. You know the way I like my coffee, the way my heart softens when I see kindness in small places, the way I pretend to be fine when I'm not. You know my fears before they form into words, my tears before they fall, my joy before I can even name it. Lord, being known by you is different from being recognized by the world. The world notices only what I show them, my smile, my words, my work. But you see the version of me that no one else has access to, the one who has doubts but still clings to faith, the one who wrestles with loneliness but still chooses to love, the one who feels weary yet still wakes up and tries again. And maybe that's what I need most right now. Not more people noticing me, but more awareness of how deeply you already do. Because when I remember that, the emptiness loses some of its power. The craving for constant reassurance fades. My worth stops depending on how much space I take up in someone else's thoughts. So God, remind me daily, through scripture, through quiet whispers in prayer, through moments that could only be from you, that I am never anonymous to heaven. Remind me that you don't just see me, you know me. Every page of my story is familiar to you. Every chapter, even the ones I wish I could erase, is held in your hands with compassion and care. When I feel invisible in the crowd, let me hear your voice calling my name. When I start to believe I'm overlooked, let me feel the weight of your gaze resting on me. When I'm tempted to hide parts of myself, remind me that nothing is hidden from you, and that's not something to fear, but to rest in. Because in a life where people may only know fragments of who I am, you know the whole of me. And still you stay. Still you love. Still you call me yours. Lord, let that truth sink so deeply into my spirit that even on my loneliest days, I can say with certainty, I am known, I am seen, I am loved. Learning to be honest with you. Lord, I'm realizing something about myself. I've been talking to you for years, but I haven't always been honest with you. Not because I wanted to hide, I know that's impossible, but because sometimes it feels safer to give you the polished version of my prayers, the ones that sound holy enough, the ones that don't dig too deep into the messy parts of me. I've told you I'm okay, when really I was unraveling inside. I've thanked you for blessings while quietly questioning why certain wounds haven't healed. I've prayed for strength when what I really wanted was rescue. And yet, every time I edit my prayers, I feel the weight of what's left unsaid. It sits between us, not as a wall you've built, but as one I've built myself. Because maybe, Lord, some part of me still fears that if I speak the raw truth, the hurt, the anger, the doubt, you might love me less. But that's not who you are, is it?
You are the God who invites honesty, who welcomes the unfiltered cries of the heart. You are the one who listened when David poured out his anguish in the Psalms, who met Elijah in his despair, who did not condemn Thomas for needing proof. You don't shame us for bringing you the truth. You hold it, you heal it, you transform it. So, Lord, I want to learn how to pray without pretending, to tell you when I'm tired of feeling invisible, to admit when I'm jealous of those who seem surrounded by love, to confess when I'm afraid that this season of loneliness will last forever. I want to speak the thoughts I've been too cautious to say, that sometimes I don't understand why you feel far away, that sometimes I struggle to believe I matter, that sometimes I wonder if I'm doing something wrong to feel this unseen. And I want to trust that you won't turn away from me for saying these things, that you will meet me in the middle of my honesty, not with condemnation, but with compassion, that you will remind me that nothing I reveal will make you love me less, because you already saw it before I spoke it. Help me, Lord, to bring you the real me every time I pray, not the me I think I should be, not the me I think you want to see, but the me that exists in this moment, broken, hopeful, weary, still holding on. Teach me to see honesty with you not as a risk, but as the safest thing I can do. And maybe as I learn to be fully honest with you, I'll learn to be more honest with myself. And in that honesty, Lord, you can begin the deeper work, the kind that doesn't just change my circumstances, but changes me. Because if there's one place in this world where I can lay down every mask, every guarded word, every half-truth, it's here, with you. When your presence becomes my shelter, Lord, the more I learn to be honest with you, the more I realize your presence is the only place I feel completely safe. Not safe in the sense of nothing bad ever happening, but safe in the sense that nothing can touch the part of me that belongs entirely to you. The world can misunderstand me. Friends can drift away. Even those closest to me can overlook my pain. But in your presence, I am known, I am seen, I am held. Your presence, Lord, is not just a feeling, it's a refuge. It's the space where I can lay down my guard and stop performing. It's where my tears aren't seen as weakness, my doubts aren't treated as betrayal, my fears aren't judged as a lack of faith. It's where I can bring my whole self, the strong parts and the fragile ones, and not fear being rejected. Some days I imagine it like a shelter in a storm. The winds howl outside, the rain batters the walls. The world feels unsafe, unpredictable, full of things I can't control. But inside this shelter, inside your presence, there is peace. Not because the storm has stopped, but because I am not standing in it alone. Lord, I've chased other shelters before. I've tried to hide in busyness, thinking that if I filled my days enough, I wouldn't have to feel the ache. I've tried to hide in people, hoping their attention would protect me from the loneliness. I've even tried to hide in silence, shutting myself off so I wouldn't risk getting hurt. But none of those shelters lasted. They crumbled when the storm grew stronger. Only you remain. Only your presence has the strength to hold me when the winds rise and the waves crash. Only you can steady my heart when the rest of the world feels like it's slipping away. Lord, I want to live here, in this shelter of your presence, not just run to it when I'm desperate. I want to start my mornings here, end my nights here, and keep returning throughout the day, even in the small moments. Because when I stay close to you, the noise of the world loses some of its power, and the ache of feeling unseen is softened by the certainty that I am always seen by you. And maybe this is what you've been teaching me all along, that no matter how lonely I feel among people, I am never alone in you. That your presence is not my last resort, but my first and truest home. So God, let me dwell here. Let me build my life inside this shelter where love never runs out, where peace cannot be shaken, and where I am never invisible. Because in your presence, Lord, I am safe.
The comfort of being fully seen. Lord, there is a strange kind of relief in being fully seen. It's not always comfortable. Sometimes it feels exposing, even vulnerable. But when it's you who sees me, it becomes the safest feeling in the world. Because you don't just notice the obvious things, my words, my actions, my choices. You see the hidden places, the unspoken thoughts, the silent cries I've buried so deeply that I forget they exist until you bring them gently to the surface. You see the moments I am kind when no one is watching. You see the times I bite my tongue to avoid hurting someone, even when I'm hurting. You see the quiet sacrifices that no one thanks me for. And you also see the parts I'm not proud of, the impatience, the envy, the weariness that sometimes makes me withdraw from others. And yet, you don't turn away. You don't shrink back from the whole of me. Where others might see my flaws and define me by them, you see my flaws and still call me yours. That's the kind of seeing my heart longs for. Not a glance that catches my surface, but a gaze that lingers, that understands, that stays. Lord, I think this is why your presence feels like home. Because here I am not performing. Here I am not adjusting myself to fit someone's expectations. Here I am known in full and still loved in full. The world teaches me to show only the best parts of myself, to hide the struggles, to put forward a version of me that's easy to accept. But you invite me to bring all of it, the joy and the grief, the gratitude and the frustration, the faith and the doubt. And when I do, you don't flinch. You don't tell me I'm too much. You simply hold me as I am. There is deep comfort in that, Lord. The kind of comfort that makes the ache of being unseen by others fade a little. The kind that gives me strength to face another day in a world that often looks past me. Because no matter who forgets me, ignores me, or misunderstands me, I am fully seen by the one whose opinion matters most. So when the loneliness rises again, when I feel like I am disappearing into the background, remind me of this truth. I am never invisible to you. Not in the crowd, not in my home, not in the silence of the night, not in the middle of my most ordinary day. Lord, thank you for seeing me fully and still loving me fully. That is a gift the world can't give, and it is enough to steady my heart.
Trusting you to bring the right people. Lord, you know the ache in my heart for connection. You know I'm not looking for a crowd, not longing for constant attention, just for the presence of the right people. People who make my soul feel at home. People who see me the way you see me, even if only in part. It's tempting to try to fill this longing on my own, to seek out anyone who will listen, to force my way into circles that don't truly fit me, to cling to relationships that drain more than they give. But I've learned, Lord, that the wrong connections can make loneliness even heavier. So I'm choosing to trust you with this, because you know the shape of my heart better than I do. You know the kind of voices I need to hear when the nights are long. You know the kind of souls who will encourage me to grow instead of shrink, to step into who you've made me to be instead of hiding. Lord, I believe there are people who will love me without needing me to perform. People who will notice when my smile is forced. People who will ask, "How are you?" and wait long enough for the real answer. People who will sit with me in the silence without rushing to fill it. And I believe you are preparing those people, even now. Maybe they are walking their own lonely roads, learning the same lessons I am. Maybe you're shaping them through their own seasons of waiting, so that when our paths finally cross, we will recognize in each other the gift we've been praying for. Teach me patience while I wait, Lord. Patience not to settle for less than what is healthy and good. Patience to focus on becoming the kind of person who can also be the right person for someone else. Patience to let you write the timing instead of trying to rush the story. Because the truth is, I don't just need people who will fill the silence. I need people who will fill it with light, with truth, with the kind of love that reflects yours. And I know that kind of connection is worth waiting for. So, until they come, Lord, let me find peace in knowing that you are enough. Let me see the beauty in the relationships I already have, even if they aren't the deep ones I long for. And let me keep my heart open, ready to welcome the ones you send, no matter how or when they arrive. I trust you with my loneliness, Lord. I trust you with my longing, and I trust that one day, in your perfect timing, I will look across a room, see the face of someone you've sent, and know this is one of the answers I've been waiting for. Thank you for sitting with me in my loneliness. Lord, before I ask for anything else, I need to pause and thank you. Thank you for the countless times you have sat with me when no one else did. Thank you for being the quiet presence in the corner of my life, holding me steady when the room felt too big and my place in it felt too small. I used to think that the cure for loneliness was always people, that if I just had the right company, the ache would go away. But I've learned, Lord, that there is a kind of comfort only you can give, the kind that doesn't require me to explain myself, the kind that doesn't fade when the conversation ends, the kind that stays even when the room empties out. Thank you for the nights when I whispered my pain into the darkness and felt you there, listening without interruption. Thank you for the mornings when my spirit was too tired to pray, but somehow I still sensed your nearness in the first breath of the day. Thank you for the moments when tears blurred my vision and I couldn't see the way forward, yet I knew you were guiding me anyway. Lord, you've shown me that your companionship isn't like any other. Friends may try to understand, but they can't see every corner of my heart. Family may love me, but they can't always carry the weight of my sorrow. Even the most caring people have limits, but you have none. Your patience is endless. Your love is steady. Your presence is unshakable. Sometimes I picture it this way. I'm sitting alone at a table, my chair pulled back just enough to feel separate from the noise. And there you are, not across the room, not waiting for me to find you, but right beside me. You don't rush me, you don't tell me to cheer up, you simply stay. And in that staying, something shifts inside me. The loneliness doesn't feel quite as sharp when I realize I'm not carrying it alone. So tonight, Lord, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being the one I can always talk to or sit with in silence. Thank you for not growing impatient with the slowness of my healing. Thank you for loving me in both my brightest and my dimmest moments. And maybe, Lord, that's the real miracle. Not that you take all the loneliness away, but that you fill it with yourself until it becomes something I can bear. So even if the room is empty, even if the phone stays quiet, even if no one else sees the ache I carry, I know I'm never truly alone because you are here, and that is enough. Lord, I am not alone anymore. Lord, we've walked through so many nights together, nights when I could barely lift my head, nights when the silence felt louder than any noise, nights when I wondered if anyone would ever truly see me. And yet, here you are, still here. I think I've been waiting for some grand moment when all the loneliness would vanish in an instant. But instead, you've been teaching me something quieter, something deeper, that the end of loneliness isn't always the absence of it, but the presence of you in the middle of it. I used to measure not being alone by how many people were around me. Now I measure it by this, knowing that wherever I am never without you. It's not that I don't still long for human connection, I do, but I no longer believe that my worth depends on it. I no longer believe that my life is empty until someone else fills it. Because you have already filled the deepest places in me with something no one can take away. Lord, I am not alone anymore, not because my circumstances have completely changed, but because my perspective has. I see you in the moments I used to miss, in the way the morning light touches the corner of my room, in the quiet nudge in my spirit to pause and breathe, in the scripture that shows up at just the right time, as if you placed it there for me alone, in the peace that comes when I tell you the truth, even if it's messy. I feel you in the way my chest loosens when I remember you're carrying this with me. I hear you in the way certain words seem to echo in my heart long after the world has gone quiet. I know you in the way hope keeps finding me, even in seasons when I thought it was gone. So tonight, I won't ask you to take away every ache. Instead, I'll ask you to keep reminding me of what's true, that I am loved, that I am seen, that I belong to you. And I'll thank you, Lord, for every moment you've sat with me in the crowd, in the empty room, in the dark, until my heart finally understood. I was never truly alone. If tomorrow looks the same as yesterday, I will still hold on to that truth. If my prayers take time to be answered, I will still trust that you are working. And if the world never fully sees me, I will rest in knowing that you always have. Because now I can say it, not as wishful thinking, but as reality. Lord, I am not alone anymore.